Happy Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Quick Talk, the show where I talk about current TV in 15 minutes or less. Let's get into it. Hawkeye Season 1. Alright, so Hawkeye Season 1, episodes 1 and 2 have finally dropped on Disney Plus. I am so excited. I have had a blast with all the previous live action Marvel MCU shows, those being Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, and this show being just a wholehearted Christmas show is like everything that I live for. Like, if you know me in real life, I'm not that big of a Christmas person. I don't like watching Christmas movies. I don't like putting up decorations all that much. I don't like listening to Christmas music all that often. But that doesn't mean that I hate the stuff. And this is exactly what I want out of a Christmas show. Now, it's not like a movie set at Christmas time, i.e., Die Hard. It's not a show set around Christmas time like Iron Man 3. It is a show whose plot is intertwined with Christmas. The whole plot of this show, and I'm going to be spoiling it going forward, so you have been warned. If you haven't watched this show, go watch it right now. But the basic plot is that Clint Barton wants to go home to be with his family for Christmas, but he has to stay in New York and clean up a mess that was partially his fault because of his Roman persona, partially Kate Bishop's fault, but it all lies on him to clean it up. So he has to race against the clock to get home before Christmas while also making sure everything is taken care of. And I love like the trope subversion in this show where, because Clint's wife knows that he is a superhero, she's not like, you need to get home for Christmas. She's all like, make sure you get done what you need to get done. And I find that so refreshing that this relationship is so rock steady that she understands what's at stake if he doesn't get this stuff cleaned up. So, we're going to start talking episode 1 for a couple minutes. We're going to go into episode 2 because I don't want to have to split this up into too many videos. Because I've got this, I've got The Flash, and then I have Spider-Sember coming up. 11 films in 1 month. We're going to be watching every canon Spider-Man film, well, that's being made canon at least, with No Way Home. That is Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Eddie Brock's Venom. Tom Hardy's Venom. And so, definitely stick around on the channel for that. That will be starting on December 2nd, I think. Yeah, December 2nd. And it'll be running all the way to December 19th, which is when we will be doing our episode on Spider-Man No Way Home. But anyway, Hawkeye episode 1 starts off showing us Kate Bishop growing up, like her when she was a little kid, living in New York in the year 2012. And this set piece is incredible because we get to see the Battle of New York as it would have been seen from someone in one of the buildings, and just putting her in that scenario and having her see Hawkeye just beating the crap out of Chitauri from the top of a building. It was just so good to see. I loved that whole sequence, and I thought it was very relevant to what we were watching. And, like, yes, it is kind of convenient that Kate Bishop saw Hawkeye firing arrows off of a building in New York City at Chitauri, but hey, the MCU is based on convenience. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be hearing the story, so of course it's going to be convenient. Because, convenience is just our term for, oh, this could have happened differently. Why didn't it? Oh, because if it did happen differently, we wouldn't be seeing the story. So anyway, the episode centers mostly around Kate Bishop as she goes through her everyday life of this really rich girl. and that includes like coming home for Christmas, going to see her mom, and her mom, who actually her dad. We'll back up a second. Her dad was killed in the battle for New York in 2012, which was like uh, I think it was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I think is when it took place because the MCU's in 2024. It's about 12 years ago. So she's 12 years older. Her mom's been single for 12 years, and she started dating this guy. I think his name is Nick, or uh, what's his name? Nate. Nick or Nate. It's one of the two. There'll be an annotation correcting me. But she started dating this guy, Nate, and he just seems like a slime ball from the beginning. He is the most obvious textbook definition of a villain you can get, which is why I think he's a red herring. Because, and now hear me out. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I have this sneaking suspicion that this guy's a red herring because this show is seemingly going to be a murder mystery almost. A murder mystery Christmas film set in the MCU, and I am so excited for this. But we see in episode 1, was it? No, I think it was. Yeah. Was it? Yes. In episode 1, we see Kate. Okay, so I gotta back up a bit. So Kate is attending this charity auction that her mother is putting on, and she ends up sneaking down into the basement to where there is a secret black market auction, where her mom's fiance Nate and his uncle are taking place. And at this auction, aside from the giant, Triceratops skull that's being sold for $2 million, they are auctioning off Ronin's sword and costume. Now, Ronin being the identity that Clint took on in Endgame when he decided that he was going to go and pardon some people from life, to quote the Grandmaster there. Um, and so those two items are being sold at this auction, and Nate, Kate's mother's fiance, like really wants the sword. He bids and bids and bids, but eventually his uncle, I think it's Armani, ends up getting the sword, and then just before the the suit goes on sale, the tracksuit gang, the tracksuit mafia, which is it's just that's a whole topic in and of itself. But the tracksuit mafia bombs the cellar in which they're holding this auction, and they come in, they try to steal the jewelry and stuff, which like knocks everybody off where they're at, and so they run in, and Kate sees like the Ronin costume and the sword splayed out on the ground, takes the costume, takes the sword, puts it on, and starts fighting the tracksuit mafia. And so we should probably get into talking about the tracksuit mafia here in just a second. But let me just say, the action in this episode was exhilarating. It was incredibly paced, incredibly choreographed, and both Kate Bishop's actress and Clint's actor, I forget, Jeremy Renner, just did such good jobs on the choreography. It was very, very well done. Speaking on Kate, this show, the one thing I was worried about was how like charming and how able to have to lead a show. Kate Bishop's actress, Haley Seinfeld, I think was her name, uh, was, because I hadn't seen her in anything before because I don't watch too many movies outside of like big blockbusters. But I was happily proven wrong. Kate Bishop in this show is so charming and likable. I I found myself like not wanting to look away from the screen because I wanted to catch every single thing that she said, just because like everything she said had that wit and that charm to it that not many actresses or actors even can grab a hold of. And her chemistry with Jeremy Renner was so nice. I could believe them being in this like I need to help you get out of the crap that you're in, but I don't want to be around you, but I kind of want to be around you sort of vibe. Because like Clint in these episodes was freaking phenomenal, and like Kate is just right up there with him on like that on that same caliber. And one last thing that I really liked about episode 1 was the animated opening showing like all of Kate's different abilities, how she obtained them. They didn't tell you, oh yeah, she's got like a black belt in martial arts, she's really good at sword fighting. No, they showed you in this flip book style montage of her like training with a bow and getting better with a bow and being a martial artist and fencing and doing all this really cool stuff. And I had a lot of fun just watching that and seeing like, okay, that's gonna come in handy, and that's gonna come in handy, and that's gonna come in handy, and like not feeling like the movie needed to spoon feed it to me through narrative, dialogue, and exposition. Now let's bring up the whole murder mystery aspect of this, because the night after the big like party charity auction event that got bombed, Kate goes to Armani's house, the old uncle, to find him dead on the floor, stabbed through the chest with a sword. And so this is our first casualty, our first like piece of evidence, and like already it points to Jake or Nate being the killer, the villain. However, as I said before, I do not believe this for some reason. I don't believe that Nate is the person. Not do I believe he's a bad guy? He could be a bad guy. He seems like it. But maybe that's just what they want us to think. That he's a bad guy, and so, we don't trust him. That could be exactly what they want us to think. But it could also just be the truth. He could just be the villain. But with this being a murder mystery, I'm hard pressed to assume that this is going to be like how it plays out. And so like I guess we're just gonna have to see how it goes on down the road. Now, the track suit mafia. Dear God, these guys are perfect. So in the comics, they are so incompetent in their job, and it's translated perfectly to the movie. Like, they're not incompetent, but they're just idiots. And it was shown in the banter between them and Hawkeye. Now, they have this thing where every sentence has to end with bro or have bro in it for some reason. So when you're watching the episode, you will hear the word bro like 30 times. And it's incredible. Alright, I just looked over the timer. I don't have too much time, else this is going to be like a 20-minute video, so I'm going to rapid fire the next couple parts. First part, we finally get to see Echo in this episode, the end of the episode. She's going to be like the main villain of the series, I think. She's the leader of the tracksuit gang. She looks awesome. Like, bathed in red, surrounded by speakers. Jeez. Bathed in red, surrounded by speakers. She looks incredible. We also get more hints into this whole like murder mystery plot almost, and I'm fairly certain that Kate's mother is going to end up being one of the main antagonists of the series. I just know it. I'm also wondering if we will end up getting to see the Kingpin like there have been rumors like about. And if we do see the Kingpin, that would be incredible. However, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on Spider-Sember starting December 2nd. We're going to be watching all the Spider-Man films. You will see some more updates as we get closer to that date. Happy Thanksgiving, and stay frosty, my friends.